What's going on, everybody? So I've been driving for Uber for about 3 months now, a little more than 3 months, and I've done over 500 rides. I really enjoy it. It's a good way for me to make some money. I mostly drive on the weekends. In the place I'm at, it's mostly college students, but I do go to into Pittsburgh a little more, so closer into the city. And one of the things that I most enjoy about being an Uber driver is getting to have conversations with people of diverse backgrounds, all different kinds of people. You got old people, young people, college students, grandmas, just, all different kinds of people. And having good conversations is something that I really enjoy about this job. And it also helps a lot with getting tips whenever you have a good conversation with your rider. You don't necessarily have to speak if you want to be an Uber driver. You could just play your music or ride in silence if that's what you chose to do. But having good conversations is something I really enjoy about this job. So in this video, what I want to do is pretty much give you guys my top 5 tips on how to have a good conversation with your riders in Uber. A lot of the conversations that, like, there's just a framework that you set out to have a good conversation with your riders. And sometimes they don't want to talk, and that's okay. But a lot of times your riders will talk your ear off. So if you have the framework, this might help you have some good conversations, get some tips, and get to learn about different people and their backgrounds and their history or whatever. So the first tip is going to be ask about their origins. So where are you from? I drive mostly in the Pittsburgh area, so I know the area pretty well, decently. So if they say anywhere in the Pittsburgh area, I ask them if they went to a specific high school. So that if they say, like, oh, I'm from North Versailles, that's not even a place. But if I ask them, hey, did you go to North Versailles High School? Like, I don't know if that's a real high school, but I just ask them, and sometimes they'll say yeah, or they'll go into no, I moved there when I was 17, or moved there in middle school or whatever. And they'll go into, if they want to talk about it, they'll talk about it. And if it's somewhere that about, then you can kind of reference back to some places in their area, like, oh yeah, I went to that Rite Aid before, or I had a friend who went to North Versailles. And it's a really easy way to ease your way into the conversation, just asking about where they're from. And especially if they're an older person. So if you're talking to like an older lady, or anyone who's older and got some experience, and you ask them about their high school days or whatever, where they went to high school, they will a lot of times they'll jump on that opportunity to talk about the old days. They probably don't get to talk about that stuff a whole bunch. So I'm asking where they're from, where they went to high school. That's a really easy way to ease into the conversation and get to know a little bit more about the person that you're riding with. The second tip is going to sound a little bit cliche. You might think that this is common knowledge, but it's super important. I catch myself messing this one up a lot. And you want to ask open-ended questions whenever you're talking to people. So yes/no questions are not very good for conversation, because they can just say, yeah, I do that, or no, I don't. And then now we're looking on to another subject. You want to ask an open question. So if you're asking someone about maybe the apartment complex that you picked them up at, ask them what it's like inside. No, don't ask, like, is it nice inside? Because they can just say yes or no. And I actually made this mistake. I was talking to a young lady in Pittsburgh, and she's moving into a new apartment. It was really nice, and she was cute too. And I'm just trying to keep the conversation going. And I asked her, yeah, is your apartment nice? And she was like, yes, it's nice. And like that was it. Like, we were having a good conversation up until that point, and I asked that goofy question, and she said yes, and I didn't know where to go from there. And then the awkwardness set in, and it just wasn't that's not a good way to do it. Like, if you want to know about an apartment, or if you want to know about what someone's car is like, or what someone's family is like, don't ask specific questions where they can just say yes or no. Leave it open-ended. So be like, hey, how do you like living at home with your parents? Or how do you like your brother? How do you like leave it open-ended. So if they want to talk about it, they will. And if not, they'll probably defer back to you and allow you to continue the conversation or not. But make sure to try to limit the yes/no questions, and they're necessary sometimes, but try to keep it open-ended. The third tip is not as much as a great for conversation, but it's super important, is you want to pay attention to your GPS and pay attention to the road while you're trying to have these conversations. It's good to have a really engaging conversation with people while you're driving, as it's part of the job. You want to give good customer service and give them a good experience, but you also can't get distracted with the conversation. I find myself looking in the mirror sometimes. I try not to as much now, but when I first started driving, holding a conversation and looking in the back in the mirror to make eye contact, that is not very safe for you or anyone else. For you, the rider in the back, or anyone else on the road. You want to pay attention to your GPS so you're not making any wrong turns and messing everything up. And you want to pay attention to the road to make sure that everyone is safe and you're not crashing into anyone or anything. The fourth tip is going to be to feel out your rider for their cadence. So sometimes it takes people a little bit longer to respond and think about what you're saying. So they have to think about their answer, what they're going to say. So feel it out, because some people are a little bit some people are slow, and like you ask them a question and it'll take them a little bit to respond to that. Or sometimes like there'll be a silence, but they take their time before they respond to you or before they bring up another topic. Sometimes they'll want to talk your ear off, but you keep interjecting anytime there's any little bit of silence you want to interject. Just give it some time, and some people will just continue to talk. And those are the best ones, honestly. Like the people who just they'll talk your ear off, and then you just give them some. You just feed the fire with yeah, that's cool, or really, yeah, that's really nice, or ask them a question about what they're talking about, and just because a lot of people just want to vent to you. So people don't get to talk about a lot of things that they're interested in. And as an Uber driver, you're supposed to be just a pair of ears. Like, you don't want to get super political or super opinionated. Just listen to what they have to say. And if they ask you for your opinion, like, you can give it. You're here to give it and have a good conversation. But a lot of times people will just talk, and they just need a pair of listening ears. And another tip, this is kind of a bonus tip. This wasn't one of the ones that I had planned out. But whenever you're having a conversation and you don't know what to say, like they come at you with a sentence, like with something about something, pick out a word in the sentence. I heard this in a TED Talk. Pick out a word in their sentence and go off that word. So if they say, yeah, I went to the grocery store and picked up some pickles. It's like, how were the pickles? Or do you always get pickles? Or, I go to IUP. I grew up here my whole life. Like, oh, your whole life you didn't move anywhere else. Or do you ever get to travel? Like, pick one of the words from that sentence and riff off of that. Like, that'll help you tremendously in, carrying on conversations. You just find a key word, and riff off of that. And if it's something that they're interested in, so if you pick the right word, a lot of times they'll take it from there, and you can move on. And the final tip is not super insightful, I don't think, but I think it's important and it helps a lot. Is wait until they get into the vehicle and get seated before you start your conversation. So let them sit down before you start asking them a question, ask them about where they're from. Like, you don't want to ask them where they're from while they're still walking in, or while they're still getting in the door. That's gonna, you don't have to rush it. They're not going anywhere. We're both going to the destination, and it's gonna take however X minutes to get to the destination. So wait for them to get seated. Get on your way. Make sure you don't pull out into any ongoing vehicles while you're pulling out onto the road before you start the conversation. And I've seen a lot of times that sometimes they'll open it up for you, so you don't have to rush into it. But it's a good way to ease into the conversation and not rush things. Keep that good cadence, keep a good pace for the conversation, so you're not not having bad conversations or rushing it and not running out of things to say. Just take your time and give the rider a good experience. You get to learn some good stuff, and hopefully get those nice fat tips, which are always appreciated. So yeah, that's about all I have for you right now. If you got any value out of this, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. Leave a thumbs up, leave a comment, and I'll get back with you guys next time.